The Oklahoma City Thunder are dominating the NBA. They are running away with the 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they're arguably favorites to win the NBA championship. But what's interesting is how this team came to be.
Basically, what he's trying to say is the greatest losers in NBA history, the most efficient tankers in NBA history, are now doing a whole lot of winning. So last week we made a video about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I talked about how they have been ridiculously dominant. They came out of nowhere. They're blitzing the Eastern Conference, and we sat down and we talked about, can this team make the finals? Should we trust them to really make a run at the title? And as a part of that intro, I showed a graphic that showed the 5 best winning percentages in NBA history, and wish the Cleveland Cavaliers were there in rarefied air with teams like the 73-win Warriors, 72-win Bulls, etc. You know who else was in that graphic that we didn't talk about?
Who else was in that graphic that we didn't talk about?
I'm glad you asked. The team that just beat the shit out of those Cleveland Cavaliers, the 2025 OKC Thunder. They were on that graphic as well.
Yeah, just the ass whooping that OKC gave Cleveland. It wasn't close the entire time. A really different game than their first matchup a couple of weeks ago that Cleveland barely came out on top, kind of pulled away in the fourth quarter. Just felt like a statement win for what has been an incredibly, like you said, dominant Thunder team. And I think when you were describing the Cavs as having come out of nowhere this year, it is really good contrast to the Thunder just continuing what was already an excellent season from last year.
So obviously, this is currently the hottest team in the NBA right now. They have the best record in the Western Conference. If you look at the betting odds right now, I think they're the favorites to win the championship. So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to explain why this team is so good, how it matches up historically to other teams, if we think they'll win the finals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything you expect from a breakdown of a team that's on top of the world right now. But the more important thing I want to talk about too is a big part of this video. How did this team get built? You see in the title, I clickbaited you with some shit about this being the greatest rebuild in NBA history or something of that sort. And I said I clickbaited it because that's hyperbolic language. I'm not sure it is hyperbolic, because once we sit down and we really talk about how this team came to be and the ridiculous amount of moves that went into building this roster and the strategy that went into building this roster, I don't know if I don't think there's ever been anything like this in NBA history.
Yeah, I was gonna it's to me not clickbait, barely hyperbole. When the concept of truly rebuilding, tanking, in the sense that the Thunder did, fairly new. If you look back to when the process started and Sam Hinkie, circa 2012 or whatever, but it really hasn't been around for that long. There's not a huge historical pool to pull examples from in terms of teams that have had extremely fast turnarounds just by making good internal decisions. And when you stack OKC up against the rest of the field in that decade, 13, 14 years since that's happened, they go bar for bar with everybody. This is an incredible achievement and kind of setting the bar for what every other team that's bad right now should hope to be.
100%. And that's setting the bar, that accumulation of moves and really 4 years of building the one goal has netted out to where we are right now. As you see on the screen, 34-7 record, 6th best offense in the league, 1st best defense in the league, number 1 net rating by a wide margin, 12.5 net rating. Some of the best teams of all time in regular season history have about a plus 14 net rating. That's kind of the bar of being utterly dominant. That's what the Celtics were last year. That's what the 96 Bulls were. So to be plus 12.5, you're not quite there, but you're not far behind. You were doing something very special.
To be plus 12.5 with 10 games of Chet and Caruso in and out of the line. Just so much stuff happening to still be this good the entire time is insane.
Yep. So that's the story. Is they're doing this right now without their second best player. They're doing it with defense. They're doing it with mostly homegrown talent, players they developed. It's a truly special team that's doing it, quote unquote, the right way. So we're going to talk at length about what makes this team so special on the court. But right now, let's focus on the things we talked about. Let's focus on this goddamn rebuild, man. Let's throw some flowers to the man behind it all, the man who put this team together. Why am I blanking on his name now?
Sam Presti?
Sam Presti. There you go.
I thought you were just glazing him really hard. I was like, damn, this guy's fucking... Sam Presti is the GOAT, I guess.
I threw a second little modifier to try to remember what his name was, and I fucking blanked. I'm looking at a picture of him and I was, oh my God.
Who the
Great
hell
player.
is this guy? No, Sam Presti, dude.
Sam
And
Presti.
yeah, he deserves all of his flowers and everything. It's the phrase "the right way" is hilarious because simultaneously, anyone, in my opinion, who really has like a super stickler problem with how the mercenarification of the NBA in recent years, get over it. I don't care.
Yeah,
But
I don't care either.
it is cool. It is cool to see a team take this approach because it's not like this approach is unviable, and especially when you're a team. Well, what do you got?
We're talking about it being the right way. Let's talk about this because in the moment, some people didn't view it as the right way. Some people said it was a disgrace to basketball what this team did and the way they tore it down. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the ultimate tank that they did? Because that we're in the lead here. What they did is they tanked harder than anybody has ever tanked before, with more attention to detail than anybody has ever tanked before. How would you describe this whole process and strategy?
I thought it was a thing of beauty, to be honest. As someone who is like a much more modern NBA fan, and as someone who I hate, like the middle ground. I hate no man's land if you're a basketball team. I think if you are not contending for a championship, building towards contending for a championship, or like maybe you're on the down slope right afterwards and you think you could really delude yourself into contending, like I feel like you should blow it up and you should try to reset, because the ultimate goal of the sport is to win, to be as good as possible. And so I understand from a business perspective, butts and seats, selling tickets, all of this other stuff. As someone who is just a fan of hoops and watching good teams play, not really a fan of mid. I've always been of the mind that like a lot of teams that are deluding themselves into like, we're competitive, we can do it. You're not really that close and you should blow it up. And I thought the way that the Thunder went about it in terms of, like you said, efficiency and just like, I don't know.
Commitment.
Yes, full on commitment. That's one of the things I wrote down.
So on the screen right now, you guys see between July 2019 and December 2023, I just threw an arbitrary cutoff date because by that time they were contending, 35 total trades. Over 30 additional draft picks to their own acquired. And that's like the final number. Honestly, there's probably closer to like 60 picks that were involved in trades because they did so much like trading of picks they acquired. But they netted out with over 30 additional picks of what they already have. Mm-hmm. The thing is, they did all this. They acquired Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Nikola Topic, and many more players with these picks that they acquired. They did this with only 2 seasons being under 40 wins. This is a type of embarrassment of riches that you look at and you think they're going to be tanking for like 5-6 years. You think they're going to be like the Pistons where they're terrible and don't make the playoffs for a long time and just gather lots and lots of big picks. That's not the case. They tanked for 2 years and then a third year in which they won 40 games because they were that young talent kind of accumulated and they were in the playing range. But really 2 years of misery to get all this.
Oh, that's so crazy. I know
why does that...
Like, there's plenty of fans right now, like fans of half the league that are like, I watched my team win 30 games for 8 years. Like I've seen my team be trash for forever. And so, it's truly unprecedented in terms of like speed of turnaround without like every other time you see a turnaround like this, it's because they just added one of the best players on the planet. Either it's like this,
LeBron.
LeBron, the Celtics picking up Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen off trades or whatever. But to do it this fast just by selling on Westbrook and Paul George, like
that's the key.
Yeah, at the perfect time to get this massive boost to your rebuild. I assume you have some shit you want to say about that?
Oh, go ahead. I have the graphic up right now. The way they did it, you're 100% right. This was possible because they tore down a team. They tanked from a place of advantage. They had 2 star players. This graphic shows Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Steven Adams. Those are the 3 best players on the 2019 team, and they traded all of them from a place of advantage when they didn't have to tank. And that's how they did this. They decided to tank because they saw the future was brighter if they tore it down to build it back up like a fucking phoenix. And that accumulation of assets when you already had everything you start with is how they were able to accomplish this.
Yeah, low-key, this is all Damian Lillard's fault. It's kind of what I'm now that we're talking through this. Like, damn, you could if that series goes like 7 games, they could delude themselves into being like, this happened, that happened, we could fix these problems. No, you said it very well. A place of advantage is a really good way to describe it. And then it's the commitment immediately after this move. There was never a thought in the approach to this rebuild post we're moving off of Westbrook and Paul George decision where they're like, okay, can we pivot these guys into someone that we know has already been an all-star a couple of times? Can we move our current stars in exchange for different stars? Are we retooling this roster? None of that was like really ever in the cards. It was always, we are tearing this thing down to the bones. Nobody is going to be here when it's done. Not Steven Adams, not Russell Westbrook, especially like those two guys. I mean, to think about what they meant to the Thunder organization at the moment they made this decision, like those were homegrown, heartfelt, like really close to the fans type players. And so emotionally, it's a tough decision, but they treated basketball like a business, and I mean, they're Fortune 500 now, I guess is like a good analogy. They're on some other shit.
Treating it like a business, a good way to phrase it, because that's how they approached every single move. I said they made 35 trades in those 3.5 years. Their strategy was clearly, one, we're tearing the team down right. We're getting additional picks from the guys that are on the roster now, tearing it down to studs, like you said. And for these couple years, we're going to be tanking. Every single cap dollar that we have allocated to our team, in which we have to spend to hit the cap floor and whatnot, we're going to allocate every single fucking cent to acquiring more draft picks. They jumped into so many 3 and 4 team trades, so many opportunities in which two teams are trying to make some deal happen. They're trying to send so and so over to whatever other team. That's nothing to do with the Thunder. But there's some guys in between. There's some loose salaries that need to be dropped to a third team because it doesn't make sense. They just need to throw James Johnson to somebody. The Thunder, every time they could, jumped in and said, hey, we'll take him. Give him here. Give us George Hill. Give us James Johnson. Give us anybody you need. Just pay up and give us some picks.
Yeah. I bet like to be an opposing GM, to be a non like Sam Presti GM, and I just wonder how many times his name was brought up whenever any deal around the league was getting done where the second they hit a road bump, they're like, yo, Sam Presti would probably do this for like a second, 2 second round picks. Like he would help us get this done. And so yeah, it's really I mean, yeah, you just complete like savvy move after savvy move. And I also wonder what it felt like to be a player traded to the Thunder in this moment, because you're just like, damn, I'm washed. Like nobody wants me. I'm just salary. Too. Yeah.
Every time that there was a player who was washed and was unwanted, they jumped in and said, we'll take him. And not only will we take him for your picks, we'll rehabilitate him and then flip him again. They took Al Horford as a salary dump. Later on, they rehabilitated him and traded him to the Celtics for more picks. So they got 2 first-round picks to take him from the 76ers, made him look good, and then sent him to the Celtics for more picks. They did the same thing with Chris Paul, in which they eventually sent him to the Suns later. Again, it wasn't just give us your nothing, we'll let him expire. We're going to find every way we can with our player development team, with our coaching staff to make all these players look good, to further flip down the line. There was no move, player, salary dollar that wasn't used to optimize draft picks.
Yeah. And so then you get all these picks. What do you do with picks? Either you move them for a player, or if you're the Thunder in this case, you are just very... I come back to the word savvy. I'm pretty sure... I don't know how many picks they took in the first round over these 4 years. I want to say like 7 to 10. But so I have it written down here. In 2021, they walk away from the draft with Giddey, Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins. In 2022, they walk away from the draft with Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Jalen Williams, both of J-Dub and J-Will. In 2023, they walk away from the draft with Cason Wallace. In 2024, they walk away from the draft with Nikola Topic and A.J. Mitchell. So that, even counting the guys that aren't around anymore or the guys that are injured, they, over the course of these 4 years, fleshed out really like half of their playoff rotation just by consistently hitting on draft picks. And so not only are you amassing all of these that like you can use to do whatever you want, but you spend these down years accruing talented young players that even when the team is not competitive, you can just like throw them whatever developmental minutes you have and watch them really succeed. Yeah, that's like the first step I feel like that really separates OKC from maybe a lower organization, is the fact that anybody can try to get as many picks as possible and be as terrible as they can be. But to use the picks effectively and walk away from draft after draft with really like big contributions, guys who can, if they're not going to be stars, they can definitely be role players. That's just very impressive from OKC.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, they understand that you're mentioning a lot of good picks. They also have some fucking bad picks. They picked Poku in the first round. They picked Giddey in the first round. And what I think is that they realize I am not a god. I cannot make the right decision every time. The draft is a numbers game. You need as many bites of the apple as possible. So they knew there'd be some hits and misses. They just had so many opportunities at bat that there's naturally going to be more hits. Like you mentioned all those guys. We can just gloss over the other guys because so be it. If I have
doesn't
1,000
matter.
opportunities,
Yeah, there's no. It doesn't affect me at all. It's
I
crazy.
wipe my hands of Pokushevsky.
Oh man, shout out to Poku. It was cool for a second. Oh, it was cool. I was like, damn, he's really moving out there. And it didn't pan out. It didn't pan out. But like you said, it just doesn't. They could just keep it pushing because we had 3 other first rounders in this draft and we hit on the other 2. And so we're cool in that regard. And then even so, like all those guys that I listed, they snagged everybody with, I think, 2 picks in the top 10. I think it's Chet and Giddey were literally only like Giddey was 6th and then Chet was 2nd. Everybody else was outside of the top 10. It's still in the first round. So, I mean, if you're a smart organization, you can consistently hit on like the 12th or the 15th pick or whatever. But I know plenty of organizations that would miss on those pretty consistently. So it is just a testament to I don't know, their evaluation and everything. And then even if you count Giddey as a miss, my next point is that constantly moving in the margins to find contributions from other players that maybe they're not drafting. You miss on Giddey, you have this near 60 win season that in the biggest moments of the year in the playoffs, Giddey is unplayable, like he gets benched. What do? Let's just like swap him for the best point guard defender in the league. Let's just take our bad player and we'll just go get like literally all defensive first team Alex Caruso. Super cool how that works.
Right, I shout out Bulls incompetence. It really makes the league better. It really lifts all tides for everybody else we care about.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude.
Okay, so we understand they had the smartest rebuild ever. Large commitment to the margins. Large commitment to maximizing every asset. Sam Presti masterclass. So that gets us to where we are today. This is the best team in the NBA. We can say that because the Celtics are struggling right now, and we know they can be in the playoffs. But as far as regular season production goes, they're currently the best team. They had the best betting odds, the best net rating, the potential MVP on the team right now in a very best player, best team type of MVP case. So they are very much the traditional best team in the NBA in a way you'd expect in like a normal year, right?
Yes.
Why is that? Why are they so dominant right now? How did this team come together to create such a destructive product?
I don't know. It's interesting because there's a couple of angles you could take with this. One side of the coin, the side that stands out to me, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's serious MVP caliber season. No matter who your pick is, the fact that after the way the MVP race has gone for like the past half decade, really, we are getting another legitimate MVP case from a guy who is on a very good team, who isn't like backpacking really rough rosters to like the 4 seed or the 6 seed or whatever. They're running away with the 1 seed and he's making a very legitimate claim at the MVP. I think he's the driving reason behind them winning this many games as far as offense goes. They have a lot of serious contenders on contributors on defense, but offensively, it's really rough without Shai.
It's Shai and the guys for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase all that. All that is true. This is a team built on defense. They're first in defensive rating, and that monstrous defense is taking place without Chet Holmgren for almost the entire season. Chet Holmgren is a top 3 rim protector in the NBA. I think if he didn't get hurt, he would be neck and neck with Victor Wembanyama for Defensive Player of the Year. He is that caliber defender. So the fact that you can lose that guy at the core of your defense and still be number 1 by a pretty easy margin is a ridiculous testament to how loaded with defensive talent this team is. They're first in turnover force percentage. They are just a factory of creating turnovers, factory of steals, blocks, all that stuff, because they have a really, really like outlandish level of defensive talent on the perimeter. You look at a guy like Cason Wallace, he's like their 3rd or 4th best perimeter defender. Cason Wallace is amazing. Cason Wallace has amazing hands, When you
Yeah.
have Shea, Dort, J-Dub, Caruso, Case and Wallace, that's fucking shackles up and down your roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating because it's just not like that's like my big bullet point here is just the depth on defense and the way that depth insulates them from injury. Because like you mentioned with Chet, they have not had a 100% healthy season. It just hasn't mattered at all. First 10 games, Chet does look like the defensive player of the year. He goes down. Oh, we have to play 4 games without a center, but it doesn't really matter because we spent all of last year figuring out how to win while we're giving up a massive size advantage. And so we're pretty okay in that run. Then Hartenstein comes back and we have a big man again, one of the better big man defenders in the NBA, mind you. Then Caruso goes down and it's like, oh shit, we only have one all defensive level guard now in Lu Dort. And then if you work your ass off to get him off of you through like 6 screens, you're going to have 2 teammates screen twice. Then you just get the luxury of like dribbling against, like you said, Case and Wallace or J-Dub or whoever. It's just immense depth on the defensive end of not only really high-end talent, but extremely capable all the way down.
Yeah.
There's not really, as far as perimeter guy goes, not really anyone you can attack on this roster anymore.
It's 48 minutes of at least 2 elite defenders. And they have a smart coach in Mark Dagnall who knows how to weaponize that too. In that game we talked about at the start of the show where they just obliterated the Cavs.
Yes.
They did that because they had Donovan Mitchell in a straitjacket. They had such a smart game plan after they lost them 2 weeks ago where the Cavs did a really good job of playing their game and getting the defense in rotation. So the size of those 2 bigs was something that OKC couldn't contain with down low. They came out with a really smart game plan in this past game in which they really focused on really applying a lot of ball pressure and double teaming with these smart guard defenders and applying pressure, forcing the Cleveland guards to really have to attack them one-on-one because they're not going to get anything going in a pick and roll sense. And it forced Donovan Mitchell to be really uncomfortable. They couldn't generate any paint touches because you're constantly having this slew of elite perimeter defenders. Mind you, Caruso wasn't there that first game. He's there this game. So now they have that big, like, I don't know what you call it, just set of defenders to rotate through at you guys. And they're all really smart. They all make really smart rotations. They save each other when they get in switches. They do really good peel switches to the corner.
And they're all fresh too, is another thing.
Exactly.
You get it's almost like hockey where it's like, go give me your best 8 runs down the floor or whatever. Then Dagnall can just sub in 3 more borderline all defense guys. And the opponent, it's not like the opponent has 4 Donovan Mitchells to run out there. It's the same guy the whole night getting more and more tired.
Getting jumped.
Just getting his ass beat quarter by quarter. And so, and that's happened regularly this whole season. There was a game, Mavs Thunder was like a really hyped matchup earlier this year. And Luka just had nothing for him because it was like the middle of the 3rd quarter and he's fucking gassed because it's just Case and Wallace coming off the bench again, and it's like, dude, can I have a second to breathe? There's none of that.
Have like a bunch of rabid squirrels just fucking 48 minutes a game.
That's what it seems like, dude.
And I have this pulled up. They have 7 elite defenders on this roster. I think wing defenders they have Dort and J-Dub, guard defenders Shea, Caruso, Kaysen, rim protectors Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein. 7 elite defenders. That's not to mention the like 3, 4, maybe 5 like good defenders and guys like Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe's good enough, Heinrich Williams, all these guys that are not weak at all.
Yeah.
But 7 like truly elite guys. Can you think of another roster that has that ability to deploy that much just sheer talent with a good coach that knows how to use it?
I mean, like your mind goes to the Celtics, but beyond that, no. And really, if you had like seven of this caliber on the Celtics, it doesn't always feel like it. Like they have really good high-end talent, but their bench just dominates in different ways. Whereas, like the Thunder,
shout out Hauser. He's not Case and Wallace.
Shout out to he's the guy who like contests threes even if he's like 30 feet away.
That's Cornette. That's Luke Cornette.
Okay.
Verticality.
Yeah, there we go. Fuck. I was just about to say, I don't know. You mentioned Aaron Wiggins, and in my brain, I'm just like, dude, Aaron Wiggins would be the go-to wing defender for like 40% of the NBA if he was on their team. So the fact
and he's
that
their 8th best defender.
Yeah, he get DNP'd sometimes. It's like, the fact that he's just like a rotation guy for them is a real testament to how talented this roster is.
Yeah. And we're mentioning a lot about the defense. That's how they win games. That's why they have such a dominant net rating, because they are just absolutely locked down. And they do this with small guys who know how to use their size. Their hands are ridiculous. Turnover force machine. You can't out small ball them. We see teams at the Cavs try to do that whenever they're struggling because of this like huge activity. So they try to go small for small with you. And the Thunder have just completely mastered small ball. If you try to play their game with them, you'll get blitzed.
And I would also like to shout out J-Dub in that sense too.
Yes.
Just because when we talk about the offense and how hard Shea has had to carry at moments, J-Dub has had a down offensive season, especially like the back half of the back 20 games or whatever. But his play on the defensive end, like this is a small team. It would feel way smaller if J-Dub wasn't so versatile and so capable of like scaling up his game to like bump with Jared Allen or do his best against Evan Mobley or whatever. And sometimes he loses those battles. It is what it is. But on a night-to-night basis, he does so much for them on the defensive end that really goes unsung.
Can I say something a little sacrilegious that I want you to hear? Okay. And I want you not to just listen to me. I want you to hear me. And I want you to take it in and not get mad at me.
All right. What do you got?
I see a lot of Draymond Green in Jalen Williams defensively.
I'm not. Listen. This is how you know it's like a real nerd shit podcast. Is because I see a lot of Draymond Green, and my first thought, Draymond Green is so good, dude. There was maybe a year where I hated Draymond Green, like he's annoying, whatever. Full appreciation as one of the best basketball players in the association, like at his peak. And then ever since then, especially on the defensive end, I totally get what you mean. Just versatile, extremely long, like lengthy
arms
defender.
Are nuts.
And then when you talk about Donovan Mitchell being uncomfortable in this last Cavs matchup, a lot of that was because even when he got around whoever, Jalen Williams' help side rim protection, the go-go gadget arms all the way up to the rim, it made it like every time Donovan Mitchell even saw the hoop, it was a difficult contest from J-Dub.
Yeah. I think J-Dub is a top 25 player in the NBA right now, despite not making he regressed a little bit offensively this year, but defensively he became such an insanely valuable player. He played 5 for them, started at the 5 for many games when Hartenstein and Chet were both hurt, and they didn't miss a fucking beat. Yeah. He is so strong and so long that he plays up in position despite only being like 6'5" or 6'6", real Draymond Green-esque, because he has really high IQ. His hands are crazy. If you get him underneath the rim as a big man and trying to attack him in the post, you better be quick. Because if you take too many dribbles, he's going to use that crazy go gadget arms. He's going to reach around and poke the ball out. His just ability to use his hands is nuts. And you're also not going to be able to back him down because he's strong. He made a really big body change over the past year and a half where he added a lot of muscle. He is a lot bigger than he was.
Have you been locked in on Twitter? J-Tub, he's gotten some tubby allegations. I'll just say, hey,
we'll talk about that in a second. OKC fans are ridiculous about his offense. They hate that guy.
I mean, hey, the way he's playing, I'd love to have him on my team. You could be Tubby in Denver, man. That's what I'm saying. Go right ahead. I don't care.
Let's talk about why they have an issue with it. Because I said he made this body transformation that has made him insanely valuable defensively. Mm-hmm. It made his offensive game. He's a forward now. He is not the 1-2 combo guard he was drafted as. He plays power forward. He has a body of a power forward, and it's made him insanely valuable defensively. Offensively, he doesn't quite have the same burst. It's hard for him to get by guys. He's really reliant on tough shot making because he's heavier. Yeah. And last year, the tough shot making was amazing. It was Kevin Durant type efficiency up and down the court. He was like fucking 51% from mid-range, 44% from 3. This year, when you're in a cold shooting stretch, it looks a lot worse when you can't blow by guys.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you mentioned at the top that Shea has a real MVP case. You know why that is? It's because he is carrying the shit out of this offensive roster. We mentioned all these guys defensively, 7 elite defenders in the roster. You can't have 7 elite defenders and 7 elite offensive players unless you have the greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
They have the ability to play the most ridiculously slanted defensive lineups with all these defensive guys. When Shea's the only guy who can dribble, and maybe J-Dub, and he hasn't been quite as effective this year, their offense is Shea and everybody else. Tell me about it.
Yeah, there was a stat I wrote down. I was on another NBA nerd show. I was on Cleaning the Glass earlier. Shea, they are 90th percentile in terms of points per possession when Shea is on the floor. That goes to 15th when he's off. Woo. 15th percentile. It's pretty big. It's a pretty big drop off. It's not, you don't see that all the time, ladies and gentlemen. And so, yeah, you really like that reflects in the eye test as well, where for all these great defenders, not that many guys who are capable of generating their own offense. Even I love J-Dub. I was throwing out crazy J-Dub takes last year in like
and me
April and
both.
May and everything. And so, maybe sample size got a little bigger. Maybe we're, struggling offensively a little bit. Still a high impact player, but on the offensive end, he has not been as impactful as you'd like. Chet, even though he was great, you only have 10 games out of him so far, and then you go down the rest of the roster. Caruso, sick as hell on defense, and I think it's a fleece of a trade with Giddey. I don't care. Really rough offensive season from Alex Caruso. Hartenstein, capable, solid, love him as like a passing hub and a screener and a roller and everything. Not great at generating his own offense. Isaiah Joe, not great at it. Kenrich Williams, not great at it. Aaron Wiggins saved basketball, not great at creating his own offense. And so it really falls to Shea to every trip. The defense needs to get in a rotation, and it's because Shea is one of the best, just ball handler, get into the paint and make everybody freak the fuck out guys in the NBA.
Yeah. They're sixth in offense, sixth in half-court offense, and fifth in transition frequency, all because of Shea, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it. Who else on this team can dribble? Let's just say that. Who else can create a paint touch? It's him, J-Dub, and AJ Mitchell when he's healthy. He's currently injured.
Yeah.
And I'm giving a lot of grace to AJ Mitchell as a rookie, but he helps in there. But 2.5 guys that are real creators. That's a lot of burden on him. He's very capable of carrying that burden, but it's an interesting team construction when you have this guy that lets you play this many good defenders because he can carry so much. It's very Luka Jokic-esque. It looks different because I'll say Luka creates and finishes everything. It either ends with a bucket of his or an assist. It's a lot of guys stagnant. A little bit less so this year because he's been hurt. But the offense, guys stand there, wait for Luka to get you open. What Shea does a little different. It's more he lights the spark and the offense picks it up and really pours fucking gasoline on that bitch and keeps everything going. And the team has really smart ways to use his ability to create a paint touch every play to get the team rotation, keep the ball moving, and everybody else goes off of that. So it's just as important, but looks aesthetically different because there's less assists.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I get the assists and everything. It is tough, and I don't think he is the level of offensive player as Luka or Jokic. Outside of that, the conversation is open for anyone in the league, in my opinion. He is it's one of the best volume scoring seasons we've ever seen from a guard, and he's a solid playmaker. I think just we've been spoiled by just the modern basketball player being Luka and Jokic and Harden to some extent. When you start looking back, everybody's been just all-time level passer, and while Shea isn't that, he is capable enough while being just a destructive force at scoring the basketball. It's so hard to stop him.
Yeah. I think he's like Giannis offensively in a guard's body in the way he deploys his downhill
That's a good
attack.
comp. Damn, dude. Okay.
Yeah. But the interesting part is Mark Dagnall knows that and knows how to weaponize that in the same way that Mike Budenholzer did in his prime. Mm-hmm. They don't ask Shea to get up here and run a million pick and rolls and dime the corners, dime the roll man, do that. They have a very high isolation percentage compared to other teams because they know that again, these guys around Shea can't dribble, right? So how do we get a functioning offense with that being the case? Mm-hmm. Great spacing. They've loved 5-out spacing the whole time. Hartenstein's the first guy they've had as a center who can't shoot in a long time, but he has the passing hub ability that kind of makes you respect him as a spacer.
And he's got the floater too. He's capable. Yeah.
So they have the 5-out spacing. There's room everywhere. And we have Shea, who's a downhill demon. He's going to get past the guy every time and create a rotation. While these guys around us aren't good at dribbling, they're not running pick and rolls, they're really good at setting screens. We run a lot of guard-to-guard screens. We run a lot of attacking closeouts, and we're really good at getting teams in rotation. That's the key for their offense. Mm-hmm. Get the defensive rotation, and all these guys, while not being able to dribble very well, are really smart at making the right read, attacking closeouts, and keeping things going. So while Shea doesn't have the ability to throw the dime to the corner every time, he has the perfect ability to make the defense rotate every time. And then we have the perfect offense to take advantage of those rotations. So we don't want him to do everything. We want him to start things and everybody else will finish it for him.
Yeah. And I think, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of a phrase besides can't dribble. Maybe just can't create. Like if the defender is in a stance directly in front of them, a lot of the guys on this Thunder team are going to struggle. But once the defense is in rotation, everybody is a very willing passer, and there are several like not just willing but extremely high level passers on this team as well. Everybody is capable enough at attacking closeouts. Everybody's capable enough at finishing inside the paint, capable enough at shooting threes. And so while I still maintain that like this team being fifth in like all of those offensive things that you brought up, that is overachieving for the way that the rest of this roster has played so far this year. It's not a team that I look at and I'm like, how the hell are they going to survive in a conference finals series? How the hell are they going to score the ball? They have, different avenues they can go down to in order to generate offense, especially when Chet is healthy. That's a huge missing piece.
And also, like, we're saying they're limited. Like, I think I'm using the word dribbling quite literally because like these guys don't have tight handles, don't have quick first steps to do that, but that's okay. Because like everything I mentioned, when Shea's there, it's fine. As long as you have Shea, I agree with you. It'll perfectly translate to a playoff setting because all these principles remain. And yeah, I have these numbers pulled up right now. Their offensive rating is 13.6 better with Shea on the court versus off.
Yeah.
The team's rim field goal percentage is 7.5% better. Their transition efficiency is 17 points per 100 possessions better. They shoot 3% more threes, 2% less turnovers. Everything is meaningfully better with Shea on the court because he is a driving force. He doesn't get hurt a lot. As long as he's available, I think this will translate perfectly well.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's cool. As someone like obviously Jokic fan, love Jokic. If Jokic wins the MVP, I'm totally cool with it. It's nice. It's a breath of fresh air into the way the MVP award has been looked at over the past several seasons. It's nice to have a case like this come up, and I'm totally cool if he wins it. It's an insane season from him.
Yeah. And okay, let's talk about this team real quick, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a little game I want to play for you real quick. I text you some pictures. I want to have you react to some blind stats relating to Shea and relating to this team. And you see those things on Twitter where people show you the stat lines devoid of context, and you say which one's more impressive?
Yes.
I'm going to make you do that. Let's put you on the spot.
Wow, this is perfect. This said, I love nothing more than no context. That's my middle name.
So, you see these numbers, the first graphic right here. We got two players. Which one do you think is the better player? Player one and player two. If you guys are listening on audio platforms and you're on Spotify, switch to the video real quick. It's on there so you can see this as well. Interesting numbers.
Yeah. Or don't switch to the audio and, just imagine whatever you want. It's fine.
Talk it out.
Player one. Player one. Fuck it. Let's go.
Yeah. More points, more efficient. Surely he's a better player, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
A bucket is a bucket.
That's what the game is about, dude.
Player one is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year. Player two is 1998 MVP Michael Jordan.
Okay, well, could you say that year for me one more time?
1998.
We're done with the 90s. All right, let's keep it pushing.
So listen, numbers are numbers. I don't know. You said something about eras and average true shootings being different. I don't know. I simply don't hear.
Yeah, no. What the hell? I'm not worried about that.
Number two, we got the same numbers, but in points per 100 possessions, points, rebounds, assists, true shooting. Player one versus player two. Who do you think is the better player?
Oh, 57% true shooting. Something stinks. Hey, let's go player two. Let's get it.
Listen, the facts are the facts. I mean, you can't argue with obvious logic, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Player two is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Player one is MVP Kobe Bryant.
Hey, next question, Next question.
No comment?
Next question. Let's go.
Okay. You want to see the next question? Number three. Player one or player two? This time we got per 36 minutes, points, and a bunch of efficiency metrics.
Damn.
1 set 6 more points per game?
Yeah, 58% from the field is kind of crazy. Fuck it. Let's just go. Hey, let's go player two. I don't care.
Oh, player two? Interesting you say that. Player two is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Player one is last year's MVP Nikola Jokic.
Cut the cameras.
You heard it here first. We have a proclamation from Jokic Joestar that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is better than his idol.
Wow, the fucking weakest Jokic MVP. It's funny. You had to go last year's Jokic MVP or whatever. It's fine. All
I'm hearing is Shai better. You heard it from the source himself.
Yo, I was on Twitter. I don't know. Like, being a Jokic fan online is hard because like I'd say more than half of the fan base is straight up insane. And like there was people like crashing out because they're like, Shea will never touch Jokic in all time conversations. I hope he dies. And it was like, dude, it's one MVP. Calm down, man. Yeah, it was crazy.
Funny. Yeah, so obviously we understand this team is amazing. Shea's having an amazing season. Obviously, I cherry picked the hell out of those numbers, but his scoring numbers are in rarefied air with some of the most impressive guard seasons we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting part to me is, though, obviously we know this team is good. We know they can win a championship potentially. They're set up to do this for the next like 5 to 6 years with probably zero fall off.
Yeah.
Their pantry is so full of picks. Dude, tell me this. I think you know off the top of your head. How many first round picks do they have in the next 5 years?
The next 5, is it 14?
13 and a swap.
Oh, okay. Swaps count. We're counting it. I got it right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And like 12 second round picks.
Oh, cool. Sweet. Nuggets gave up their last 3 second
2031.
rounders to get rid of Reggie Jackson, by the way. I just want everyone to know that. Yeah,
Great
that's
move.
an insane amount of picks.
There's a lot of talk about, for me too, from everybody, I'm no different. There's a desire for us to pressure this team into buying in and really maximizing this title window. Last year it was trade for Lauri Markkanen. Now it's go get Cam Johnson. Everybody in the NBA world has perpetual slot brain and wants to see every team buy in and make their team better via trade. This team clearly has a mindset of, listen, we have unlimited first round picks. We can always maintain flexibility because we will always, from now until 2031, have the ability to every single year replenish our bench with cheap, win now, older rookies at the end of the first round on extremely, extremely cheap contracts. That's the clear vision here. You're going to have your expensive players, right? You're going to have Shea making $1 bajillion, the GDP of a small nation. You're going to have Chet Holmgren being a max guy and probably Jalen Williams being a max guy. Outside of that, you can have a few medium contracts. You can have an Aaron Wiggins. You're probably going to pay Casey Wallace, etc. But after those guys, in the modern NBA with the new CBA and the second apron, which they'll inevitably be in eventually, you only have so much flexibility. They're going to have to offload some guys. They might lose an Isaiah Joe one day, lose a maybe even Aaron Wiggins, whoever it may be.
Oh,
and you're
poor
gonna have
me.
to have,
I lost my 9th best player. What am I going to do? This is terrible. Oh, my God.
You're going to have to find a way to get cheap contracts to replenish that. And they have that ability with these picks. This run is not going nowhere anytime soon. The sustained excellence that they're going to show is going to be Warriors-esque. Whether or not they win championships, TBD, but being so dominant for so many years, it's going to be like something we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It really does feel unprecedented in terms of like, I've never seen a man this smart have this much tool, like in the toolbox in terms of like Sam Presti having this many picks to add on to a team that is on pace for 70 wins. I want to like reiterate it. We're not building towards something. We are in the first year. Yeah, we're there. We're in the first year of what looks like a really long, dynasty is a weird word. But like, if you come to me in 6 years and you're like, oh yeah, the Thunder completely fell off. They're done. We haven't heard from them in 2 seasons. That would be like the most shocking thing I've ever heard. So yeah, I don't know. You just kind of trust them to continue doing the work that they've already done in terms of like we talked about earlier in the margins in terms like players that are on waivers. If there's a good player that's floating around out there, wouldn't surprise me if OKC picks him up. Undrafted guys, even like Lou Dort was undrafted. They have 1 million picks. They got Lou Dort
Aaron
for
Wiggins
nothing.
was the second pick.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pick.
And so, yeah, I it's just like, it's hard to imagine a situation where everything goes so wrong that they can't be really competitive. Maybe it goes so wrong that they lose a lot of their draft capital and they just end up really competitive on the other side of it. But yeah, for the next 5 years, they'll be able to outbid whoever they want. Like if a player is available right now today, God forbid, Jokic, Giannis, Luka, somebody wants out, who will have a better package to offer than the Oklahoma City Thunder? Maybe like if the Spurs want to give up Wemby, I guess. But beyond that, I have no idea.
Yeah. This is why I feel safe calling it what you see in the title. This is why this is the greatest rebuild of all time, I think. The simple fact of every other rebuild in NBA history, once they got to the point where they're winning 60 games on pace for 70, potentially title favorites, that's the end outcome. That's who they are. They've reached the pinnacle. Every year they're going to be depleting assets until they inevitably reach the burnout that comes with every title window, right? You buy in so early to get that chance to win a title that you have like 3 or 4 years and then you're asset poor and you have to restart. That's kind of how it goes. They are going to do the opposite. The fact that they have this many picks, they are just touching the start of it. They just drafted Nikola Topic, who hasn't played a game yet because he tore his ACL. He's a very respected pick. Like, he can come in and really change the team next year. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe one of the other 5 first-round picks they're going to have in this next draft, maybe it'll be one of those guys. Maybe it'll be 5 guys. I don't know. We'll see. Like, the amount of opportunities they have to continue to get better is truly, truly, truly unprecedented.
It's just it's a lack of pressure, I feel like, is like what really stands out to me, where when a team starts winning to this degree, there's like an air that kind of settles over the coverage of the team, where it's like last year, Thunder got their fun year, where it's like, we're here, we're unstoppable, we're going to get out and run in transition. We have Shea, who's super cool. Chet is almost the rookie of the year. We have like this all-time rookie of the year race. And now this season, for most teams, it would be like, okay, are you going to win the championship? Because you only got a few cracks at it with like this roster and everything. You only have a few tries. Nobody has even tried. Like, it's not a narrative you hear with OKC at all, because it just wouldn't be accurate. Even if they don't win a title, they're just so well set up to spend the next 7 or 8 years trying their best and being there in the postseason every step of the way.
It's amazing, man. It's truly amazing. Let's play another game.
All
We're talking about these crazy trades that set them up.
Calm down, damn. Let's play another game. All right.
We're talking about these trades that set them up to have an absolutely outrageous future, embarrassment of riches. The pile keeps growing. The revenues keep growing. Everything's wonderful. They got here with trades. Let's talk about some other teams that tried their hand at some big picture trades, as well as these Thunder ones. I'm going to name you a past NBA trade, and I want you to grade it in hindsight. Tell me how it's aged.
Okay.
Let's give each of these a letter grade and see how it feels years later.
I was going to ask, do you want numbers or letters? But letters it is. You got it.
Just pick one. Numbers or letters.
All right.
Okay, first one. Let's stick with this team. We got the Paul George to the Clippers trade.
I will give this trade, with full hindsight, it's got a D. And I'm a guy who, like, prime Kawhi. You could add prime Kawhi. You get MVP level Paul George. You do it in the moment every time, but knowing how it's aged, it's terrible. You lost.
Listen, man, I get it. I get it. Every time we have the cope, you're really trading for Paul George and Kawhi. You do it every time. You don't regret anything. Yeah, I regret a lot if I trade away the future MVP for a complete failure of a team. I understand it's hindsight. That's the point of this game. You couldn't try to convince Kawhi to just give Shea a chance. Maybe just see what happens with the team you got.
Yeah.
If it feels bad either way.
Like, it's just crazy to think when this trade went through, it was like Paul George to the Clippers, record-setting amount of picks, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, it wasn't like, Shea for Paul George plus all this draft stuff. It was like just picks. This guy who might be something, this kind of cool, shifty guy, but it wasn't like even locked in as like he would be a multiple-time All-Star, much less this level of player. So if you want to,
he got aura.
Hey, he's got aura. He's hanging out with Lou Williams. I bet it was a sick-ass locker room, but yeah, if you want to cope, that's an angle you can go if you're a Clippers fan.
Yeah, I think I'll just continue to point and laugh at them forever.
Intuit Dome, though. They're doing a money spread on everybody, dude.
1,000 bathrooms on that shoulder arm.
Yeah, there's a charger at every seat. Come on.
Money phones with bathroom stalls.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Who's next?
Okay. Kyrie to the Mavs.
Letter grade, I would give this a B. I'll give it a B. It feels like there's...
I was thinking A.
I'll leave room for something better to happen. But as far as like price point value goes, it's really hard to beat like Dorian Finney-Smith, and
Yeah.
I remember very vividly, I made a video where I was like, Dorian Finney-Smith, what do they expect to give for that guy? Because the Mavs were shopping him around. And an hour later, the Kyrie trade dropped, and it's still up, and I still get comments that are like, you idiot. Oh, my God. That's what they got for him.
I think the Luka Doncic era with the Mavericks was saved by Kyrie taking a pitchfork to his media reputation and tanking his trade value like this. To me, it's an A because they got a literal star for almost nothing. Like, it's such a perfect best case scenario. Took him to a finals. I can't think of a much better scenario for them.
I mean, look, like Mark Cuban, everybody involved in the franchise should be thanking their lucky stars that, you know, like Amazon had that shit online, I guess.
Yeah, Kyrie got bored that night.
The fact that you A, mess up the Porzingis trade, you know, you take a big swing and you miss, and then B, you let an all-star in Jalen Brunson walk for nothing. Those are the kind of moves that like sink franchises. Historically, you think about LeBron's first stint in Cleveland, those are the kind of moves that the Cavs were making that led to LeBron not wanting to be there anymore. And so the fact that like at their darkest moment, you know, you look up and fucking Kyrie is dribbling the basketball in the garbage bag or whatever up in heaven. It's like, oh shit, let's just grab this guy. And it's worked out. I'll give it a B. I'll give room for things to get better, but it is really good.
KD to the Suns.
Oh man. Oh, it's just sad. It's just sad these days.
Do we even want to pile on? Do we even have to say it? Do we even gotta give it a letter?
me to a dog that I just saw get hit by a car. Yo, you look terrible right now, dude. Oh my God.
What's understood need not be stated.
Yeah,
you know the letter we're gonna say. Just you understand.
That's so
we're like
sad,
this,
man. Oh my God, it's tough. I'm sorry, kid. Shout out to KD. Shout out to the Suns. It's similar to the Kawhi thing, where like KD was genuinely the level of player that you don't hesitate to add to your roster. It's just maybe some subsequent moves, maybe DeAndre Ayton getting shipped out for a bad player, maybe adding Bradley Beal with a no trade clause, and he's just got like the worst
The KD trade wasn't terrible. Everything they did after it made it age poorly. They set this move up to fail.
But if I'm dunking on the Kawhi trade, you could be damn sure I'm dunking on the KD trade. That's what it is.
Okay. Damian Lillard to the Bucks.
Oh, I'll give it a C. It's very middle of the road where it's like, you know,
no, low key actually. D. I think this was expected to be the best duo in the NBA that gives Giannis the best chance to win a title he's had. Mm-hmm. And at worst, it's been an utter dramatic failure. At best, it's been okay-ish, but doesn't really raise him to be contender level.
Yeah. I was going to fight you on the C versus D thing, but then my justification was like, okay, we're only 2.5 years in or whatever. We still got to give him a sec to figure everything out. And it's like, while I agree, we've gotten some sick flashes. You're right. The second this happened, everyone was like, how's the NBA going to guard this? This is literally 30-foot three-pointers versus dunking every time. And it's just, it has not materialized.
Dame's a 34-year-old guard. We don't got much time to give him. The primes don't last forever. There's no room for let's let them develop like they're young players.
So maybe he'll add a new skill to his bag. You know, that age 35 jump. LeBron got it. KD got it. Maybe Dame's next.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's time to recover. It'll probably look better maybe when this playoff run happens if they actually have a chance with a healthy Giannis. Currently, it's not looking good. Not many fruits have been removed from this.
They just got the top 4 seed in the Eastern. Wow, congratulations, dude.
Let's go. They passed the Orlando Magic with no Paolo and no Franz. What a fucking crowning achievement of the era.
The bar is it's the East, guys. Get top 4. Like, what are we doing, man? That's crazy.
And last but not least, Russell Westbrook to the Lakers.
Oh, F. There's no real way around it. And that's not to shit on Westbrook. I'm happy he went through everything because he led it to us. But KCP, really good role player. Kyle Kuzma has been solid. I mean, up and down in DC, but like, you know, was a good role player in LA, and you think he could maybe return to that form somewhere else in exchange for a version of Russell Westbrook on like importing him onto a team that was not good, like not good fit for him at all.
I just realized that I shouldn't have brought this up.
Because of the thing? Because of our next?
No, because my day's ruined.
Oh, you're just sad about Westbrook? Oh my! Hey, LeBron's the GOAT. He can play with anybody. That's an MVP. Oh my God! And then fucking 40 minutes later, I would like.
I just every time I remind myself that I got to watch the GOAT on my favorite team win a championship, and then the man running the team promptly slammed the GOAT's championship window shut forever with one trade.
The man running the team, LeBron. Take a look in the mirror. We know who's pulling the trigger. Rob Pelinka's not. Hey, whatever. I don't need to dunk on it any more than it's already happened. But yes, it's an F. It's an F. Shout out to Westbrook. And shout out to everyone who was like death threatening Russell Westbrook's family. Super normal, super cool that you guys did that. No wonder.
Yeah, real well-rounded individuals. Real good perspective on life you guys got, guys.
Yeah, that's just.
I'm sure you have many girlfriends.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sure everyone. Me when I'm always hanging out with other people and socializing. You need to die. Your husband's terrible. Oh my gosh.
All right, man. If the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth, they ask you one question, get it wrong, or everyone's gone. Are the Thunder winning the championship?
Damn, we're dead. I hesitated. Let's say no. I'm gonna say no.
No.
I'm gonna go against the grain. The Boston Celtics have looked like ass lately, but I still feel like it's them if I had to pick. But
I'm gonna go against the grain, picking the reigning champs. You're so brave. The things you do for content, you're so good for us. You're so brave.
I know. Come on. I was trying to be humble, and he's just fucking hyping me up, dude. Yeah.
The way you know everything is so glorious.
So, like, if you really think back to when the Celtics won the title, the fact that we are the fact that I'm hesitating this much, real testament to like how the Thunder have looked throughout this whole season. Is just like, I mean, 4 months ago it was like, how is it mathematically possible to beat the Boston Celtics 4 times in 7 games? And now, even though I would pick Boston, maybe they have a bit easier route to making the finals or whatever. They get to spend the first 2 rounds just kind of like throwing test lineups out or whatever. It doesn't matter until they hit the Cavs. Just because they'd be a little bit more well-rested, maybe hopefully a little healthier, I do still think it would be a real 6 or 7 game series where games are consistently going down to the wire.
Yeah, I think it's fair to pick the Celtics right now, even with the struggles. You expect to start shooting better. But if Chet comes back and we see a good sample size of this team dominating even more than they are now with this 2 big lineup, then I could say we can pick the Thunder and not feel bad about it. They can't win without Chet. But if Chet comes back, J-Dub is back to being the 3rd star. They have the full arsenal of offensive talent there with the best rim protector in the West. I'm thinking Thunder in 6.
Chet nuking Porzingis on national TV. Oh my God. And I need it so bad. Chet, if you can hear me, please save us. I'm so sick of this.
Shea out meeting Jason Tatum on the national stage.
That's the anomaly. Calm down, dude.
We outmeted the anomaly? I see it in the stars. We're going to outmeet the anomaly.
Oh, my God. Look, this rocks. TikTok was dying last night, and I saw one that was a guy did brain rot for 20 minutes in his car, and I just kept like jumping around, and it would be just different stuff. And so, yeah, Shea outmeted the anomaly. I'm sure it was in there somewhere.
Y'all, if you're still here, if you sat through this full hour-long conversation, comment, we're gonna outmeet the anomaly. Shea outmeted the anomaly. Just comment some shit about me. We'll see you guys next week. Or we'll see you in 2 days for the next episode.
Oh my God.